So getting to graduation for the military school, were you required to join the military after?
So I always had a saying: those of us who have played military
Mm,
don't want to do the military for real.
mm.
So very few of us actually went into the military. A couple of us did, but
So it's
most
not like
most didn't.
ROTC in college
It is
where
ROTC. It's junior ROTC. It's not as hard as a college ROTC. But most of us just wanted to go to college and just start, you know, moving towards our careers.
Welcome to the Just the Decision podcast, where we speak to our guests about the decisions they made in life, the good, the bad, the regrets, the decisions they're currently making, and the decisions they're going to make for the future. Subscribe, like, comment on the video, and don't forget to hit that notification bell. And remember, we're available on all streaming platforms. Welcome to the Just the Decision podcast, where we speak to our guests about their life decisions, the good, the bad, the regrets. Today, I have one of the most influential and important people in my life, Robert Presley, but I call him Uncle Rob. How you doing, Uncle Rob?
Nice introduction. Thank you.
Cool. How you doing today?
I'm going good.
Okay.
We did this in the middle of a heat wave, but we'll bear through it.
Well, I appreciate you for coming out and getting this episode in. I know you're a busy, productive man, so taking the time out to record this episode, I appreciate you.
No problem. No problem.
Start the episode with 2 questions. What's your favorite dish and from where?
I think that a person to really identify their favorite dish is what they would order on death row.
Okay.
So my death row order would be, God, I can see it. I can't think of what the name of it is. Steak, prime rib.
Okay.
That's it. Prime rib, some asparagus, and probably some mashed potatoes.
Okay.
A nice glass of Pepsi. I don't drink, so soda's about as good as it gets.
Okay.
But yeah.
How you getting the prime rib cooked?
Oh, I want the end cut, bro.
Okay.
I want the end cut. I want the end cut. Yes, sir.
Cool. And then did you have that from a particular place or like home cooked meal or?
No, my mother used to make it.
Okay.
We had a restaurant growing up, so we had access to a lot of different foods. So my mom would bring home just a prime rib, and I would just cut my own slices and just fell in love with it.
Nice. We're gonna get more into that story. Second question is: someone gives you a blank check.
Okay.
Whatever number you write on it, it's going to cash.
Okay.
The checking's not your savings. What would be the first thing you'd spend that certain amount on?
Man, I don't know. I don't know. I mean,
you could be selfish. Most people like to spend it on other people, but
I think that lump sums don't really interest me. Residual income interests me. So whatever I could invest it in to say, all right, well, you got 25,000 to play with this month, 50,000 to play with this month. So it's not specifically a set number. It would be how much I can get in residual income, because that residual income is going to come every month. You don't have to worry about blowing that. That's going to restart every month.
Okay.
So a lump sum, I don't care how much it is, eventually you're going to spend through it.
Yeah.
So that would be my key. Whatever I could get the most residual income on.
Okay. Is there an idea in your head for that residual income? Like a business or?
I've been really attracted to commercial real estate lately.
Okay.
So I've seen some deals that I wish I was in a position to take advantage of.
Okay.
But just not yet.
All right.
But soon, hopefully soon.
Cool. So where'd you grow up?
So I was born in West Philadelphia.
Okay.
Not near Will Smith. He was on the other side of West Philly.
Okay.
I was on the south side.
Okay.
And we were 5. We moved to Willingboro, New Jersey.
Okay.
And that's where I spent most of my life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Do you remember why you moved, or like what was the?
Actually, I do.
Okay.
My father got into a fight with my mother, and their bedroom was in the front of the house, and the kids' bedroom was in the back.
Okay.
And he went to the back bedroom and laid down.
Okay.
And he heard the kids getting out of school. So it was like 3:00. The kids were walking down the street, and they were cussing and fighting and saying all kinds of obscenities. And he said, I got to get my family out of there.
Mm.
So when he heard that, he decided to move us to Willingboro.
Okay.
And the rest is history.
Cool. The Willingboro house with the who with the pool?
Yes.
All right. Yeah, I feel like that's when I first started coming over a lot.
Yeah.
Cause even in high school, it's like I don't want to be home, so I would get on the bus and take it all the way down to the Arby's, and then you or Titi Amrat would be like, I was like, can y'all come get me? And they're like, oh yeah, we'll come get you. And it was cool growing up and being able to go to a place where you feel safe and then welcomed. Because I guess growing up, it's like sometimes you want to get away from home,
Mhm.
and you could make those decisions where you're like, I shouldn't be here, but I don't want to be home. So it was cool to be on a straight and narrow path, and it was also cool to be around
Well,
my.
I'll say this. I speak for my family. We've been blessed that we had the house with the pool.
Mm-hmm,
We always had guests over.
mm,
Summertime, we always had somebody there. Somebody would stay, somebody would leave, somebody would come. But it was never a burden.
mm,
It was just, we had the pool, we had the house, and families just came to stay with us.
mm-hmm,
And it was okay. It was a real blessing because, my cousins were always around me.
mm-hmm,
And after the cousins got older, my engrafted family
mm,
came around, like what you're saying. You
yeah,
would come and just go swimming and bring your friends and just have a good time.
yeah,
And it was nice. It was really nice.
cool. The situation like siblings.
So I'm the only boy.
Okay.
My wife says I'm spoiled because she says she cleans up or excuse me, I mess up and she cleans up and I expect her to do it. But I guess I picked that habit up from being the only boy in the house.
Mm.
I don't agree with it. I think she's just making it up.
Okay.
But yeah, I had 3 sisters. Unfortunately, I lost one. Right about 1991, I lost my sister. She was 26. And I have 2 other sisters that are still with me. And we're fairly close family.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Yeah. What was it like growing up, being an only boy, and then also I don't know if you said you were young, the dynamic from being in Philly at a young age to the transfer to Willingboro.
Well, being the only boy, my dad, I guess you could say he spoiled me.
Mm-hmm.
I guess this is what my sisters say. My perspective was different from what my sisters got.
Because the age gap.
I don't know if it was the age gap. I don't know if it was he wanted me to take over the family business. I don't know what's, but it was different.
Okay.
It was different. Not saying that he didn't love them, because he did. He loved all of us equally. Yeah, we had a really, really good childhood growing up. My mother was like, she would always take us out to dinner, man, and she would take us to a restaurant, and she would say, all right, I want y'all to order something different, and I'm going to taste it, and I'm going to go home and cook it. I'm going to figure out the recipe just by tasting it.
Wow.
And we're like, Mom, you can't do that. And she was so confident, and she would taste it, and sure enough, she'd go home and she'd figure out exactly what they did to get that taste.
Wow.
So my mother was one. She was so confident. This is like in 1975. If you told her, let's drive to Canada, she wouldn't have no problem doing it, on her own, without the help of GPS. She would just jump in the car and just do it. She was just so confident. Like, you give her a task and she would do it. And I think that rubbed off on a lot of us because we felt like we could pretty much do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's cool to have that experience as a young a child, because I think of my dad making something and you're forced to eat it. So being able to go to a restaurant and like order what you want, but it has to be different, is better than you taking your.
Well, we owned a restaurant, so it had to be right. Food had to be good enough that you could sell.
Okay.
So it's a little different.
And so growing up, was this restaurant in West Philadelphia?
Yes.
Okay.
52nd and Walnut. Yeah, we've had restaurants in our family since the 30s.
Okay, wow.
My uncle Ike had a restaurant on South Street. And South Street used to be all African American. So he had a restaurant there up until the late 80s. And my dad's sister married Mr. Ike. this gentleman, and he introduced my dad to the restaurant, and then he helped us get the restaurant on 52nd Street in Philadelphia.
Oh, wow.
And that's how we got into the business, and it sustained us. We did very well with it.
Can you remember like the restaurant business? So like back then, do you like was it word of mouth starting a business, or did you have to get a certificate to cook, or it was just
No, we had our set recipes. It's ironic that you're saying that because the rolls that you get at Texas Roadhouse are the exact rolls that we had at our restaurant in West Philly before there was any Texas Roadhouse. And I'm not just saying that just to try to ride somebody's coattail, but that's the exact taste that our restaurant was known for. And it was the type of thing where people would come there just for the rolls.
Wow.
So
cinnamon butter is something crazy.
We didn't have cinnamon butter.
Okay.
Yeah, that was something new. But just the taste of the roll was enough to just bring people.
Okay.
So at our restaurant, we would have celebrities come in. Teddy Pendergrass, Luther Vandross, Mayor Wilson Good would come and eat every Saturday.
Wow.
And my father was so proud because the mayor would come in. He would get there about 7 o'clock.
Okay.
And he would order Fisher grits. And he would always take care of the mayor. He'd always put a couple extra pieces of fish on the mayor's plate just to say, "Hey, Mayor, listen, we appreciate you." I think he was the first African American mayor of Philadelphia.
Oh, wow.
But, it was a lot of pride. We were very proud of Mayor Good. So seeing him and having him come and eat at the restaurant was, fantastic.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So did you have like an option to not be in the family's business growing up, or it was family business on the weekend, school on the weekday?
Well, what happened with me, I decided to go away to a boarding school. Okay. So I went to a military school in upstate New York, not too far from West Point.
And what grade was this?
That was 11th and 12th.
Okay.
Yeah. So I always get myself in trouble when I say this, but it's the same military school that Donald Trump went to.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So they either hate that or they appreciate it. But yeah, but I went to the same school as Donald Trump, but our values are a little different. We think a little different, although we went to the same school, but it's good.
Okay.
It's good. It's good. But coming home from school, I don't know, man. It was just, I made a decision.
I like that word.
Yeah. I made a decision that I was away at boarding school and I just wanted to get home to my family's restaurant. I didn't want to go away again. So I didn't go to college right after school. And that was a huge, huge mistake because there was nothing there for me. And it turned really tragic, just that one decision. When I came home from school, I got a letter. My sister went to New York to get me, and she brought me home. And a couple of days later, I got a letter from a college. Said, "Listen, your grades need to be brought up some, so come to summer school. We're going to bring your grades up, and then you can start playing football. You can start college, but you got to get your grades up, so we need you to come to summer school." I looked at that letter. I said, "Shit, I just got home. I'm not going back out. I just got home." And that was a huge, huge, huge mistake. So the reason I say that is because I saw a lot of the guys that I played with or played next to make it in the NFL. And I always think of it like if someone wanted to be in the NFL, like you look at my body.
You can't see him sitting down, but
I'm 6'4", 300 pounds, out of shape. But if I wanted to play in the NFL, God did his part. The other part, the training, the working, the learning, that's all on me. I didn't do my part, but God did his part. He gave me the body to be in the NFL. I have an NFL sized body. And for whatever reason, I just decided that I wasn't going to pursue that when I should have. Because everything that you do has a timing to it. It should be done at the right time. I ended up not going to school and playing semi-pro when I was 27, and the timing was wrong. I tried out for the Philadelphia Soul, And I had the best times out of the guys in my group. So my group was the offensive linemen and defensive linemen. So they grade you, they put you, they have you running your exercises by weight. I had the best time for all of the guys that were there. And I was the oldest guy there. So I did the right thing at the wrong time. So if I would have done it or pursued it when I was 18, I would have got the training that I needed when I was supposed to get it when I was 18, and then 19, and then 20, and then possibly the NFL door would have opened up for me. But I tried it at such a late age, even though physically I could keep up. I went back to my boss that I was working for, and I said, yeah, I just tried out for the soul, and I had the best times, and I was doing this, and I was doing. He said, and I told him, I said, I'm not going to be here too much longer. They said, well, Rob, what do you think those coaches are going to take? A nice 22-year-old fresh out of college or an old plumber? Well, the rest is history. I didn't play for the soul, so.
Yeah. Just to backtrack a little bit, I feel like to make the decision to go to military school is like a big decision. So like elementary, middle, like what was that process like in school?
That was in the Willingboro school system.
Okay.
That was a really good time. I don't know what it is about Willingboro school, this particular school, Memorial Junior High School.
Okay.
The transition from being in elementary school to Memorial, I don't know what it was about that year. And if you ask anybody that went to Memorial at the time that I did, this was like 1982, the junior high, I'm sure that they would say that was the best time in school that they had. It probably didn't get as good as it was in Memorial until you got back to college or got to college. I don't know what it was, man. It was just a great time to be in school. And Willingboro was okay, but I just wanted to get away. Things with my mom and dad, they didn't have a close relationship, and I just wanted to get away from that. I wanted to get away from the business. I wanted to get away from everything. So I found this boarding school, and I went up there, and it was a good experience. It is a military school, so it's unique because it's hard, or it's life-changing when you have somebody yelling at you and they're your age or younger and they're telling you what to do.
Wow. So
it's different. But once you get into the system and once you learn how to take orders, you can give orders. And it just changes your whole dynamic. So I don't think military schools are as popular as what they were 20, 30, 40 years ago, or even when the president went back in the 60s. But they serve their purpose, and there's no mommy and daddy to fall back on. If you screw up, you're going to pay. You're not going to pay for an adult by an adult. You're going to pay by a kid. It's going to take you down in the basement and make you do push-ups. Well, I don't know if they can do that.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, I don't know if they can do that nowadays. Okay. But the kids straightened you out. We ran the school. We had supervisors over us, but there was discipline. You had to really mess up for somebody to write you up, then an adult had to get involved with it.
Okay.
So we were very close as brothers and as cadets at this school.
What happened in between like the 10th and 11th grade to like, how'd you find the school? Was it like a magazine? You saw an ad? Or?
I don't know if it was a magazine or an ad in the paper.
Okay.
I saw it, and I asked my mom to drive me up there, and my mom, being the adventurous person that she was, she's like, come on, let's go. Jumped in the car, drove up to, we drove right past West Point, New York. So we were up in the mountains, and she found the school. We went in there, we did an interview, and I said, okay, well, we accept you. Just, we're going to start at such time, this date, and just have your son here.
Okay. And were you playing football at the time in Willingboro High School?
Mm-hmm.
So then you had to also switch.
Well, I had to leave early to go to their football camp.
Ah, okay.
So it was quite an experience.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was the transition to like a civilian life to a military life?
Well, it's as close as what you can get into in the military without actually being in the military.
Okay.
But it is regimented. We did have formation at 10 minutes to 6.
Okay.
That part of the country is really cold. It is really cold. So it was a good experience, very good experience, very humbling. And, it got me away from my parents, which is what I wanted. And it gave me the ability to stand on my own. And I met people from all over the world, man. I had people from Africa, I had people from South America, I had people from Germany, France, speaking different languages, different cultures, but we all lived together.
Oh, wow.
And it was just a great experience, a great high school experience.
So with this military school, people from all over the world apply for this school, or like, are there parents stationed in the area so these kids have to go to that school?
No. Most of the kids, like after I left, we had I don't know what country this young man was from, but he was one of the royal princes from one of the Arab countries.
Oh, wow.
And he wanted to get away, so he saw this military school and he went there to stay. And we had formation. Formation starts about 5:45. So you got 10 minutes to get up, brush your teeth, get dressed, make your bed up, and stand outside your room and get ready for fallout. So you do all of that in 10 minutes. So this prince, they blew that bugle. It's time to get up. And his drill sergeant went in there and they told him, they said, listen, don't rough him up. Don't touch him. If you have any problems, come get the commandant. So, excuse me. It went in to get this kid. And he says, it's time for formation. He said, I'll have somebody else go. I don't want to get up right now. And the young sergeant, the kid was his age. He went and told the commandant. The commandant came down to talk to him. And he said, sir, you have to get up and go to formation. He said, yeah, I know, but I pay you. You take this money, you go. And I said, the commandant said, I don't think that this is really for you. I don't think that you get the understanding or the grasp of how we do things in military school. There are no servants. There's nobody to cover for you. You have to do everything yourself. So he left because that just wasn't a good fit for him. So I don't know. I have some good friends that I still see on Facebook, and it's a lot of life lessons, a lot of good character people that are developed through going to a military school.
Yeah. The only experience I've ever had with that is I think it was in high school because my dad was a drill sergeant, and I'm like, yo, what's the military like? Like, he's like, nah, you don't want to know what it's like, and I'm like, nah, like, what's it like? And it was like for a couple weeks I was asking him, and then one morning he flipped a switch, and it was 20 minutes of drill sergeant dad. And I would flip the lights, flip my bed, grip me outside. I was doing PT and outside early in the morning. I'm like, what is going on? So
That's it.
It was a cool experience at that time where you're like, all right, Dad, I'm not your dad. And you're like, yes, you are. So and then going to the police academy, it was just like, it wasn't a shocker because I experienced living with my dad my whole life. So getting to graduation for the military school, were you required to join the military after?
No.
Okay.
So I always had a saying, those of us who have played military don't want to do the military for real. So very few of us actually went into the military. A couple of us did.
Okay.
But
so it's not like ROTC in college?
It is ROTC.
Okay.
It's junior ROTC. It's not as hard as a college ROTC.
Okay.
But most of us just wanted to go to college and just start, moving towards our careers.
Okay. What was the academic like? Was it like half of the day you were doing regular English reading, writing, math, and then half the day you were learning military stuff?
No. Well, what's nice about military school is your whole day is regimented. From 5:45 up until about 10 o'clock at night, you have somewhere that you need to be.
You said 10 at night?
10 at night, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they scripted your whole day until 10 o'clock at night. 10 o'clock was lights out.
Okay.
But everything between from 5:45 up until 10 o'clock was regimented.
Wow.
So you got up, you ate breakfast, you went and got medicine if you had medicine that you had to get, you went to school, you went through a regular schedule, just like a typical high school, and then you had after-school activities. And then after school, we got ready for dinner. And after dinner, there was study hall. And then they might gave us intramurals between 7, something like that. And it's time for a shower. And then It's time to get ready for bed. And 10 o'clock, you were ready. You were in bed and lights out.
Wow.
So everything was regimented.
Okay. Before semi-pro, what was how did football fall into play with military school?
Um, the schools were a lot smaller,
Okay.
but for some reason our team was so big.
Mm.
Like I have a gentleman that I played with. He played for the Arizona Cardinals.
Okay.
His name was Matt Joyce. Matt Joyce was 6'6", 320 in high school. Okay. And he made it. He went to Richmond University and then got drafted by the Cardinals.
Okay.
And I played against him, and I was like, I could play with Matt.
Mm-hmm.
Matt made it in the NFL. I think I could have played with him if I would have done it at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the kids were really big.
Yeah.
But they were from all over the country, but they didn't know how to play football. So we had another guy. His name was Bustamante. He was like 6'6", 340 in high school.
Wow.
But he was a soccer player.
Okay.
But he had a mentality to play football.
Mm-hmm.
But we had a nice sized team.
Okay. Did you play other military schools, or you played like local high schools?
No, the only other military school was Admiral Farragut on the Jersey Shore. But they had gone out of business the year that I got there, or they had closed down.
Okay.
So I missed the opportunity to play against another military school.
Okay.
Yeah.
After high school with graduation, I feel like most people have like 4 options. You have join the workforce, go to college, join the military, or you just you make wrong decisions in life and head down a bad path.
Well, I already told you I made bad decisions.
Okay.
So I'm going to reiterate that.
Okay.
My bad decision was not going straight into school.
Mm-hmm.
Because the biggest mistake you can make is to say, okay, I'll go next year.
Mm-hmm.
Because once you do that, the next year comes around and enrollment comes, and you might be in a relationship, you might have a job, and you think you're making good money.
Yeah.
And you don't want to leave that to become a college kid with no money, scraping by. You're not going to leave having to have nothing to get your education. You can, but it's just harder.
Mm-hmm.
That's why most kids, when they say, oh, I'll go back next year, they usually end up not going back.
Yeah. That gap year of being comfortable, it could either help you or harm you.
Yeah. But I've never met anybody who had that question posed to them. You need to continue on. You need to press on and go to school. And they said, I'll go back next year. I've never met anyone or spoken to anyone who actually went back the following year. Just hasn't come across in my lifetime.
Gotcha. So where did life bring you?
I'm going to forewarn you.
Okay.
Because this is like a sprint. And I had an opportunity to speak at a church one time. And I had a lot of events happen in my life. And my wife was sitting there and she's just like holding her head. She's like, I heard this story before, but my God, it's just so sad. When is it going to end? I know when it's going to end. I know the whole story, but my God. So just be mindful that everything I'm going to share with you, there is a silver lining behind everything. Okay, so what happened when I came home from school, military school, I was really undecided about what I wanted to do and what I wanted to become. I had no direction in life. So I was just sleeping on the couch. We only had 4 bedrooms, and my 3 sisters, they had the bedrooms and I had the couch because I was away at military school. So my father, who owned the restaurant, he came home. He came downstairs one morning, a little before 6, and he looked at me. He said, son, you can't just lay on that couch. You got to do something. You need to come to work with me or something. I said, all right, Dad, I'm coming. Just got dressed. And he was the hardest working man I've ever met. He worked 7 days a week. Wow. His schedule was 6 in the morning. He'd drive to Philadelphia to the restaurant. He'd work. And around 4 o'clock, he would leave, come home, go to sleep, get back up at around 10-ish, close the restaurant down. And 12 o'clock, he would come home. He would get home about 1:30 and sleep for that little bit of time, and then get back up at 6 and do it all over again. Wow. That was his schedule.
So, and this was going back from 4th to West Philly to Willingboro?
Yes.
Wow.
That was his 7 days a week. He didn't take no days off. He wasn't sick. That was just his schedule. And I could tell that he was tired.
Mm-hmm.
He was 50 years old. He had been doing it for quite some time. And this one day in particular, he woke me up and he said, son, come to work with me because you can't just lay around here. You can't just be unfocused. Just come work with me. And I said, yes, Dad. I got in the car and I started to drive him. And on the way to work, and my father was so funny. He was one of them older guys. He would sit sideways looking at me driving, and he'd put his hand on the dashboard, and he'd watch the speedometer, look around, look for cops. And if I sped up too much, he'd go, pap, 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 pap. Easy, easy, boy, you're going too fast. Slow down, you're gonna get a ticket, slow down. I said, all right, Dad, okay. So I don't know what happened that morning. We got into an accident. We hit a telephone pole. Now, my face, the seatbelts were there, but they weren't required like they are nowadays.
Yeah.
So when we got in this accident, my face flew forward. I bent the top of the steering wheel, knocked my tooth out. My face kept going and up into the glass. And that's how I had this beautiful scar here. And if I didn't have this hair here, you could see the scar tissue all on my face. But I was knocked unconscious. My father had pretty much everything on the right side of his body broken from the impact, but he was conscious. He was okay. He just had broken bones. Mm-hmm. So the ironic part about this story is growing up in the 70s, and it's funny because I'm looking back at it now and it's not true, but it's just what we were taught. But growing up in the 70s, when you watched a TV show, if a car crashed, next thing you know, it was going to blow up. It didn't matter what it was. If you crashed a car, the car was going to blow up. So that's the Dukes of Hazzard, BJ and the Bear, whatever TV shows that were on back there in the 70s and 80s, the car was going to blow up. Mm-hmm. And that was the mindset of the nation. So when we crashed, some good Samaritans ran up and all they could think about was pulling us from the car. So they pulled us from the car, got us away from the car, and the car didn't blow up, okay? But the telephone pole that we crashed into, the electric line broke loose, and it swung down and landed on my father where he was placed in the grass. And I don't know if you've ever seen an electric line on the ground. No. It's like an angel appearing on earth. It's power and it's light, and you can feel the energy and you can hear it, and it just buzzes, and there's just so much power, and the tip of it is like, it's like the sun is touching the ground. The concrete explodes because it's so hot that the moisture in the concrete expands and explodes. That's how hot it is. So you just see concrete popping. Well, that landed on my father right here. It landed on his leg and stayed there. Killed him instantly. And a Delran police officer ran up, and I wish I could meet this man. I met him about 25 years ago, but I wish I could see him now. But he had the courage to run up and pull this electric line off my father. Wow. So that he could be resuscitated. We all knew he was dead. Well, I was unconscious, but they knew that he was dead, because as soon as that much power, it's 13,500 volts, that hits your body, that shorts out everything. But this brave officer ran up, pulled this electric line off my father, and he could have got killed just by walking up to my father, because the grass that we were laying in was wet. So he could have got shocked from the electricity grounding, traveling through the moisture, and that could have zapped him to his shoes. He didn't care about that. He jumped on that line and he pulled it off my father, and that allowed my father to be resuscitated. So I remember being airlifted to Camden, and I was just in and out. I woke up and I looked down. I just remember being in the helicopter, and next thing I know, this nurse was saying, "You're gonna be okay. You're gonna be okay." And then I went back out, and then I woke up like 3 days later. But it was rough, man. But this brave officer allowed my father to be resuscitated. Now, I'm a spiritual man. I'm a God-fearing man. I'm a believer in Jesus Christ. I don't have no fear in saying that, and I shouldn't feel uncomfortable by saying that because that's my belief. And if somebody else believes something else, I'm not going to knock you for your choice because I don't have heaven or hell to put you in. So you believe what you want.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at it this way. If God gave you a choice, who am I to take it away from you? You believe whatever you want. Whatever's your God, let that be your God. But my God is Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
So I say all that to say, my father, he couldn't talk. He did regain conscious.
Mm-hmm.
But every organ in his body had failed. His kidneys, his liver, his heart had stopped. He had cataracts in his eyes because of the electricity.
Wow.
He had a hole in the top of his leg about, I don't know if the audience can see this, about that big. It was a burn mark about that deep, that wide on the top of his leg. That's where the wire landed. But all back here, the back of his thigh was gone. All of that exploded. When electricity grounds, like with the concrete exploded because of the moisture. It was the same thing with his leg. The water content in his muscles and the electricity and the heat caused the back of his leg it was just gone. So there was nothing but a few muscles up top, and then his whatever bone this is back here, that's all he had left for a leg. In everything that you go through, you have to find the blessing. And the blessing in that accident was my father made it to heaven. So I say that because my aunt went to him. She was a minister. And she said, Bobby, you may not get another chance to accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior. This may be your last time. Do you want to accept him as your Lord and Savior? And he couldn't speak because he was intubated. He was on a trach. He was on a ventilator.
Mm-hmm.
So he couldn't speak, and he just started crying. And he just shook his head. Yes, I want Jesus. I want him. I accept him. He's my Lord. And my dad so I grew up as a Jehovah's Witness.
Mm.
So wasn't even a Christian growing up. But my dad was like to my mom, you and the girls go, that religion stuff is good for you. I'm good. I don't need that. And that's how he felt. He made money. He made a lot of money. And he was like, I don't need the whole religion thing, but it's a good thing for you and the girls. So my dad has never went to what they call the Kingdom Hall. He's never went with us. That just wasn't his thing. But my mom prayed for him constantly. She constantly prayed for him. And in the end, he made it to heaven. I believe that because he accepted him when he had the last opportunity. So if I have to look back at that accident and say what good can come out of it, well, my dad's in heaven. And when I lay down this body, I'm going to see him. And I'm thankful for that.
Yeah. I appreciate you sharing that with me and the audience. You know me, I'm trying to work with my empathy skills because with my dad, it's rah, 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 rah. And then June's men's mental health awareness.
Yes.
Did you ever talk to somebody at that young age, or was it just life happens? And are you good now?
That is a very complex question with not one answer.
Yeah.
I would say I'm not good now because that's not all that happened to me. The situation with my dad happened. He passed away. What saved me from going through severe depression was we had 2 restaurants, and I had to step in and do his work. So I had to go pick up the meats, and I had to help out in the kitchen however I could. It was very difficult because I wasn't trained to do it, but it kept me busy. So once I dropped off food for my dad's restaurant, my mom had a restaurant, I had to go drop off food for there. And when I got home, I was so exhausted, just take a shower and go to sleep. There was no time to sit up and cry and think about the fact that your dad's gone and, X, Y, Z happened. So a lot of times staying busy will keep you from spiraling into the depression. And the devil's busy, man, and he means you no good. So if you just sit back and just listen to the things that come through your head, that's where the suggestion of suicide comes in.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you'll never make it through this. You should have died with your dad. Why did you make it? Where do those voices come from? Who's saying that? It's not you. You got good things and good intentions for yourself. God has good things and good plans and good intentions for you. He would never put you in a position where he would want to kill you or do something to cause harm to you. Everything that you go through, he provides a way for you to work your way through it. So, no, I did not get any mental help. But I told y'all that this hurt thing was layered. So just to bring you up to speed, my father passed away. The uncle that had the restaurant from the 30s, he passed away. My sister, who was 26, she passed away. And her daughter, who was 8 months old, passed away. And all of this happened within a 1-year period. So I was really just like on edge, man, because you know, I really didn't know what to do with myself. I didn't know what to do with my emotions. But prayer and just believing that I'm going to come out of this got me through. I could get deeper into that, but we don't have too much time.
Yeah,
so.
we could always do an episode 2. But I thanks for sharing with that or sharing that with me, because I feel like we've talked about it briefly, but we've never gotten to that deep in it. So it's like I'm taking it in, and then my back like I haven't been diagnosed, but I think I have ADHD. So in my mind, I'm thinking of all the ways how I would have processed that. And my mind's like, oh, who would I talk to? Is there anybody to talk to? And it's just, I'm glad you're here with us, because when you said the word suicide, I'm like, I couldn't imagine.
I got a suicide story for
I
you.
couldn't imagine. I've known you basically my whole life, and I can't imagine all the help you helped me with not having you there. Like, I have other people in my life, but I feel like you played a major part in living down the street. I'm there like at least once a week. So just having you there to talk to, I'm being serious. I don't know if this is a self-defense laugh, but I honestly, if I never haven't told you enough, I'll tell you on the show that I really appreciate you, and I'm glad you're here.
Okay. I'm going to share something with you.
Okay.
I'm going to share a prayer that I said 2 days ago.
Okay.
At the end. So remind me, because I will forget.
Okay.
Remember, I got this head thing and I forget things. I think my wife takes advantage of me sometimes because she knows I'm going to forget. I'm just kidding, baby. Just kidding. Just kidding. So I think, well, you're conducting the interview.
No, just go ahead. Just say
well, I want to talk about my first wife. So I'm married to Josh's aunt. She's my second wife, but I want to talk about my first wife. I met her when I was 12 years old.
Oh, wow.
So I was walking at the public pool in Willingboro, the one in Country Club. And I was just walking, and I had a camera with me. So there were no phones back then, but I carried a 35 millimeter camera, and I would just take pictures of anything, especially young 12-year-old girls that were my age. So I saw this girl, man, and I was like dumbfounded. I was like, wow, she's so pretty. And my cousin said, nope, you're not going to ask her for a picture. You're not going to ask her. And I said, yes, I will. So I was so scared and nervous. I walked up to her and I said, excuse me, miss, can I take your picture? My voice was all high and broken. She didn't even say anything. She just posed. I snapped the picture and ran the hell away from her as quickly as I could get away because I was so nervous. I had no game. I had no rap. I just said, snap the picture, snap, thank you, and ran and got away. So I got this picture developed. I put it in my photo album with all of the other stuff that I had collected, the pictures. And I would look at this girl and I'd be like, man, she's so beautiful. Man, I'm going to marry her one day. She's so beautiful. And then the little voice would kick in and say, you fool, she's probably in California. You ain't gonna never see that girl again. Yeah, you're probably right, but she's so beautiful. This is me having a conversation in my head. A couple years would go by. So this photo album sat in my closet. I'd pull it down, look at it. Man, she's so beautiful. She's gone. You'll never see her. Okay. So years go by, life goes by. The incident with my dad happens. And I went to culinary school because I wanted to learn how to run his restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say the right way, but a more corporate way so that we could expand. We wouldn't have to be there and do every aspect of the business. So I wanted to learn that aspect of the restaurant business. So I went to culinary school, and that did not work out for me. It just wasn't cut out for it.
Mm-hmm.
So I dropped out, and here I am, not knowing what I'm going to do. So I went to Utah to try and play football again. And I did very well, but my dad died before he could pay off my tuition at school. So they wouldn't release my transcripts. So the university kept me for as long as they could. But the NCAA has specific regulations that if someone doesn't have their transcripts and they're not registered, they can't be on the campus after the first game. So I stayed out there for a month, and I got buff because I couldn't work out with the team. So they would just send me to the gym. I got buff. I had this, I had that, my stomach was flat, and all of the guys were from California. And I was from the East Coast, and you were a little too young for this, but back in the early 90s, there was an East Coast, West Coast thing where people of color didn't like people from the West, or the East Coast and West Coast didn't like each other. So me being from Philadelphia, I'm from the East Coast, but I am as far from the Philadelphia rap scene as there can be. But I still couldn't get in with the guys that could cut hair. So the only thing I could do was cut off my hair. So make a long story short, I had to come home, and I started bouncing at a nightclub. So I look good, Josh. I would go to, I got a job with a nightclub called Rick Mahorn's. Okay. He used to play for the Sixers, and he opened up his nightclub. And I would put on a vest and a flat cowboy hat, and I would just stand there like Zorro with all of these muscles.
Crocodile Dundee.
I was like, I look so good. But I just wanted to date. I didn't want to go into business. I didn't want to pursue a career. I just wanted to go to this nightclub and just enjoy myself. So I started dating a few girls, and this one girl, she was like, I really like you. I wouldn't mind being in a relationship with you. And I said, you see all this? I look too good to be in a relationship. Now, it don't look like it does now, but back then, I had it going on. And she said, yeah, I see all that, but I'm going to wait for you. I said, you going to wait for me to get that out of my head that I don't look good no more, and then you're going to be there when I'm ready to be in a relationship? She said, yep. I said, okay, but you're going to be waiting a long time because I look good. I look real good. So this young lady, she became my friend, more so a girlfriend, because we could just hang out. And we didn't have to do anything. We didn't have to go anywhere. We could just spend time with each other. And we would just laugh and laugh and laugh. And we enjoyed being next to each other. We enjoyed our company. Nothing physical. It was just enjoying company with each other. So one day, I decide, I'm going to share my photo album with her. So we're sitting in my bedroom, and I'm sitting next to her, and she's looking through the pictures, and she's like, why would you take a picture of a bug? I said, because it was colored pretty. It was, I just wanted a picture of it. I got clouds. I got anything that's caught my interest, I took a picture of. She's like, okay. Then the little 12-year-old girls, which makes me sound like a pervert, but I was 12. So she's turning the page, and she's like, I see I'm with a whoremonger. You probably slept with every single one of these girls. I said, are you kidding? I ran from them girls every time I took a picture. So she turned the next page, and I'm expecting some abuse. She turns the page, and I had my back to her. I don't think I can do it, so I'm going to do to you. So pretend like you're her.
Okay.
So I had my back to her.
Looking at a book.
Huh? You're looking at the book, right. So I got my back to her, And I'm waiting for her to say something smart so that I can reply. And she didn't say anything. I turned and looked at her, and my God, my skin jumped out. How did he say that? My bones jumped out my skin, or I was really scared.
Okay.
I was really scared. She had a look on her face like there was a monster right behind me. No, but if you ever seen somebody that was really fearful, like something was wrong,
Yeah.
that was her facial expression. I looked at her and I was like, well, what's wrong? I grabbed her hands like, what's wrong? She said, how did you get this picture? I said, what picture? She said, this picture right here. I said, I don't know. It's just somebody took a picture of. She said, that's me. How did you get a picture of me? So understand this. I went up in my closet, stuck my hand out, pulled this photo album down, blew the dust off of it, gave it to her. And this woman's looking through this book and she finds a picture of herself.
Wow.
But that's just the power of God. So as a little boy, I didn't know my words were speaking my destiny into my future. I kept saying, I'm going to marry this woman. I'm going to marry this woman. When that happened, I was taken aback. I was speechless. I couldn't say anything. She was speechless. But what happened was I laid down all of that. I looked too good to be with anybody or be with one person because that's what I prayed for. What I prayed for was sitting right next to me. And there was no way I was going to turn back to God and say, God, all right, I still want to play some more. And she says, and God would be like, son, that's what you prayed for. What do you mean? So all of that nonsense went out the door that day. And from that point on, we were more serious. And we got together and we conceived twin baby girls. Now, it was I'm getting all tongue twisted, but we knew that she was pregnant, but we went in for the first ultrasound. And we went in and they left me out there. And I was like, what is going on here? Why is this taking so long? And they finally brought me back and they said, okay, Mr. Presley, we want to show you the baby. And they did it and it was going, whoa, 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 and this is baby one. Oh yeah, baby one. What do you mean, baby one? And this is baby two. I was like, oh, yeah, I did it. I did it. And she just looked at me like, yeah, you did it all right. She was mad as a hornet. Because she was like, okay, one baby, but two? What the hell were you eating? But we conceived twins. And from that point on, I was like, we're getting married. We're getting married. You're having my babies. I love you. We're getting married. So we worked, jobs and we got our own place. So we moved into our apartment December 5th of 94. We got married in our apartment. My aunt, same aunt that ministered to my dad, she came and officiated our marriage in our apartment, and she signed the papers and we were married. Josh, that was such a magical, well, I don't want to use the word magical, but it was a wonderful Christmas because I was looking at her. There it was, the woman that I prayed for. She was having twins, girls that were mine, and we were in our own place. So if we went out on a date, we would go get food from the kitchen and sit on the couch because it just felt so good to be in our own place, to be in love, and to be married. You couldn't tell us anything, nothing at all. January 10th rolled around and I had to work and she had a doctor's appointment and she kept saying, please go to the doctor's appointment with me, please. I was like, baby, I can't. I got to go to work. I have to go to work. I have to take this appointment. And she said, but it's really important. And I said, I can't. I promise. I'll ask my mom and my sisters to take you. So I don't know. She was kind of stern-headed. I don't know if that's the right word, but she made
Whatever
up
words you want.
she made up her mind and she did it. But she went to the doctor's appointment by herself. And medical people, you can probably give me a better interpretation of this, but they couldn't pick up the heart rate of baby A. So they electrocuted her arm. And they still couldn't pick up baby A's heart rate, but they sent her home. So she got home that night and she was talking, and my mom was like, that don't sound right. Why would they electrocute you? That just don't sound right. But my first wife had a child before, so she had children before, so she kind of knew. So she didn't really take heed to what my mom was saying. So the day that changed my life for real this time, just January 12th, 1995, because we celebrated Christmas, we celebrated New Year's in the house. And then 6 o'clock in the morning, January 12th, she woke me up and she said, honey, my plug came out. And I called my doctor and I left him a message, and he said to meet him at the hospital. So I turned and looked at the clock, and it was 6 o'clock exactly. And I was like, wow, this is it. This is the day the girls are going to be born. So got dressed, got in the car, and her son was with us. So we started driving to the house, and we were in Delran. Excuse me, started driving to the hospital. So I don't know if you know where Hunter's Glen is. Do you know where the Target is in Delran?
Yeah.
Okay, so before Target, there was a Kmart there.
Okay.
Target tore down Kmart and put a Target there.
Okay.
Okay. So we pulled out of Hunter's Glen, and Hunter's Glen is at that light.
Okay.
Right behind the Red Lobster.
Okay.
So we pulled out, made a left, and we were going past the Kmart. And she screamed. She just went like that. I looked over at her. She had fallen back in her chair. She did manage to pull the seatbelt off her stomach. It must have been making her uncomfortable. And she passed out. And her eyes rolled up in her head. So she was just like this, and her eyes were all white. So I'm driving. I look at her, and I check her pulse here. I can still feel the pulse. She had a little vanity mirror that most women carry right here in the middle. She had one of those. I grabbed it, put it underneath her nose, and I could see that she was still breathing. When I saw that, I gunned it. I put my flashers on. Boom, 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 started blowing my horn. And I just drove as fast as I could. I rode over onto the side to the disabled lane, ran the light, ran the next light, and just kept going with my flashers on. And I was hoping the cop would have stopped me and called an ambulance, but there were no cell phones back then. We had cell phones, but they were big bags, and they were like $200 a month. And we were kids. We didn't have that. So I couldn't call for help. And I had the choice of going to Willingboro or going to Mount Holly, where her doctor was. I thought her chances of survival would have been better if I had gone to Mount Holly. So I pressed on to go to Mount Holly from Delran, where I was at. And I drove like a bat out of hell. I didn't stop for no stop signs. And I know that was reckless, but I was just doing what I had to do. So I got about 1.5 miles away from the hospital, and the truck started sputtering. I wouldn't go past 15 miles per hour. I just started praying. I said, God, if this truck stops, she's not going to make it. And it just sputtered. Pop, 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 pop. It wouldn't go 15 miles per hour. But it didn't stop. And I pressed my way, and I got to the hospital, and I just jumped the curb. I had a Jeep. I jumped the curb. So I parked on the curb right at the emergency room, right at the glass door that slides open. And I took my fist and I hit the horn. Boom, 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 blowing the horn. And the security guard came out. He's like, what's wrong? And I said, go get me a wheelchair. He ran and went and got me a wheelchair. And I checked her vitals again. I couldn't feel anything. I put the mirror up. I didn't see anything. I couldn't tell she was breathing. So I got out the car. I grabbed the wheelchair from the security guard. I picked her up, I put her in the wheelchair, and I turned her around and went back into the hospital. And as I got to the glass, a doctor and a nurse met me. And they said, "We got her from here. We got her. Just go park the car. It's going to be all right. Go ahead." I'm sorry.
You're good.
So I parked the car, and um, we had her son with us. So I picked him up, and they gave me this little tiny room. The room was maybe, it was big enough. The room was big enough to have a door, about that much room to walk, and a couch. So it was a tiny, tiny room, and there was a glass wall. So they put me in this tiny room, and I just went there, and I waited, and I called her family and I called my family, and they all came up. I got to the hospital, or we got to the hospital about 7:20, and they did an emergency C-section. So they evaluated her, they did all the tests that they had to do, and the girls were born at 7:52, 30 seconds apart. I was just like numb, just couldn't feel anything, couldn't feel hurt, couldn't feel emotion, just numb. They took the girls and they transported them to Camden. Once they got to Camden, I was still in Mount Burlington, Mount Holly with my first wife. And 12 o'clock noon, I was down, or we were all down in the cafeteria at the hospital in Burlington, in Mount Holly. We were all there, and this nurse came running. She said, "Mr. Presley, I've been looking for you everywhere. Come with me." So she grabbed me by the hand and she just pulled me. And I got upstairs and she took me to this room. It was a recovery room. And my first wife had coded. And as I got there, I remember the doctor said, "All right, you've been doing CPR for 36 minutes. I'm calling it." And I'm just sitting there like, "Nah, man, what are you talking about?" So they left her, everybody left. They took the stuff off her. They took the cart away with the heart, the electrodes. They took that away, and it was just her and I in the room. I was like, come on, you can't leave me. Come on, we got babies to raise. Exactly 12 o'clock that day, she passed away. And I remember my family and her family were up in the waiting room upstairs, and they were all there. And I don't know why, but I locked eyes with her sister the whole time I talked. And I walked in and I said, at 12 o'clock exactly, Tina passed away. And I don't know why I only looked at her sister, but her sister just crumbled in her chair and just burst out crying. And I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to do. I don't know. But my day wasn't over. The nurses pulled me aside and they said, "We understand what you just went through, but you got to get down to Camden to see about your daughters." So I went in, somebody drove me to Camden, and I had to go into the neonatal intensive care on the top floor to see my girls. And it's the first time that I had to scrub in and put gloves on and put a jacket on and mask and a hat and everything. And I went in to see these girls, and I fell in love with them. I had never seen anything so beautiful. These girls, they had my heart. The first time I looked at them, I loved them. Love at first sight is real. I looked at them and it's like, oh my God, I love you. I love you. And those girls had my heart from the first time I laid eyes on them. I knew that I wanted to give them the best life I could. I knew that I wanted to serve them. I wanted to provide for them. That was my life's mission right then and there. Losing my wife or having a whole family, 6 o'clock that morning, to um, having two children that I was going to have to raise without their mom. But I didn't know what had happened to them. And that discovery came a couple days later. So I remember going into into a conference with the doctors, and it was 4 doctors and like 6 nurses. And they said, Mr. Presley, we want to have a talk with you to discuss the condition of your girls, to let you know what you can expect with girls that have gone through the injuries that yours have sustained. I said, okay. So I'll meet you right there. So I was in there with the girls. I was all covered up. And as I was leaving, my friend Kelly, we like bumped into each other. We were coming around the corner, we bumped into each other. And I said, hey, what are you doing here? She said, well, I came to see the girls. And she said, what are you doing? I said, these doctors want to have a meeting with me. She said, do you mind if I sit in with you? I said, no, come on. So she came in, and the head of neonatal intensive care was a doctor. He was a Caucasian man with jet black hair, but he had cried so much that his eyes were swollen shut. And I had never seen that, because most doctors don't relate to what they're experiencing. That's just my experience. Most of them don't relate. They don't get that emotionally tied. But this man was crying. He was crying right in front of me. He talked and he was crying. And he said, Mr. Presley, we have about 140 years of combined experience sitting in front of you. And I have to say, I've never seen a situation where someone has lost so much, and this is such a tragic incident. So our heartfelt prayers go out to you. But we have to tell you that your daughters were asphyxiated in utero. They were severely brain injured, and they won't do anything. They won't laugh like a normal child. They won't walk like a normal child. They won't have any kind of interactions with the world like a normal child. And we feel that, even though as sad as this situation is, we feel as though it would be best if you just let us take them off the ventilator. My emotions were just cut off. I was like, all right, if that's what you want to do, give me the papers. I'll sign the waiver so that you can take them off. We'll watch them die right here and now. And I'll probably be joining them tonight. That's what I felt. But thank God, God sent this woman, my friend. Now, my friend was a feisty woman. She didn't take nothing from nobody. She didn't care about your degrees. She told you how it was. She didn't let you overtalk her or talk down to you because you had a degree. So she said, Doctor, can you say with 100% certainty that that will be their prognosis? I said, well, no, not with 100%, not 100%, but based off of the tests that we have, we can pretty much tell how they're going to be. And she said, Robbie, listen, and here's another decision. She turned to me and she said, Robbie, you got to give God a chance. You got to give God a chance, because you don't know. You don't know what God can do with this situation. You have to give him a chance. If you don't, this story is going to end tonight, because you're not going to make it. I said, Kelly, you know what? You're right. You're right. You're right. So I decided to give God a chance with my situation, with my broken heart, with my brain injured children, with my life. And I decided to keep them on the ventilators alive. So they had to go live at a long-term care facility for children. And they lived there one of them lived their entire life. We moved in there, and it was like a big family. There was the facility that they moved into had 120 beds. And I always would say there are 120 sad stories, because every single child was a little different. Every single child that was injured or born with a deformity or a disability had a different story. But we were all family. We were all family there at this hospital. And my girls stayed there. One day, I got a call 9 o'clock at night, and It was the hospital. And the nurse, I knew her well because, like I said, we were all family. The nurse said, "Mr. Presley, just want to tell you, Natasha died." Natasha's one of my daughters. When? What time? What happened? She said she just started to desat and we rushed her to the hospital and she died. I said, "Well, what time did she die?" 3:30. I said, "You just calling me now?" She said, "No, we've been calling you the whole time." But part of being broken, one of the bad habits that I developed was I wouldn't carry my phone with me because I was always afraid to get that phone call. I was always afraid to get that call and say, "Mr. Presley, listen, we did all that we could, but X, Y, and Z." And that's exactly what happened. So, um, and I'm sorry, I didn't explain everything. My wife had twins, girls. They were 5 pounds apart. One was 5 pounds, and the other one was 5.5 pounds. On the way to the hospital, when she passed out, she had no more oxygen going to her body, or she wasn't breathing. So let me explain a little further. She had what's called an amniotic fluid embolism. So what that is that's when the amniotic fluid that suspends the baby breaks loose into the bloodstream, and it goes into the bloodstream and it accumulates in the lungs. So when you breathe, there's an exchange that should take place. The oxygen should exchange, and the carbon monoxide should exchange in the lungs. You breathe out the carbon. I always get them like carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide.
I think it's dioxide.
Carbon dioxide.
Monoxide might be in the house.
Carbon monoxide is the cars.
Okay.
I always get them mixed up. But you make an exchange, and that's how we breathe. So when someone has an amniotic fluid embolism, the little fingers that make the exchange with the air get clogged with this debris, skin follicles, urine, all of this junk that's suspending the baby gets released into the bloodstream and it accumulates in the lungs. And she was breathing, but she wasn't being oxygenated. So when she passed out, she felt dizzy when this thing first onset, but she stayed conscious for as long as she could. And when she finally ran out of air, that's when she screamed and fainted. So from that time to the time that we got to the hospital and they pulled the girls, her body went into survival mode. And I had another doctor explain this to me, but when your body goes into distress, it goes into survival mode. So her body, realizing that it was in distress and it was dying, cut off oxygen to every unnecessary limb. So her legs, her arms weren't getting any oxygen, including the children. The children were cut off. So that's how they got asphyxiated in utero. That's how they were brain injured. So I don't quite understand the math of when she passed out and when they stopped getting oxygen and when they were born and they were able to get oxygen through a ventilator. I don't quite understand that, but they went through an extended period without oxygen, which caused them to be severely brain injured. So I was married for 25 days and had these beautiful girls to raise. Now, I'm sorry, I just wanted to go back and clean that up. But moving forward, Tasha passed away, and the girls had rooms together in this hospital. And when Tasha died, now my daughter Noelle, her sister, the surviving sister, was what you would call in a persistent vegetative state. I was not the type of person that would come and say, "Yeah, my daughter can do this, she can do that," when she couldn't do it consistently. So, for instance, one time I would go visit with him and I would always climb into bed with him. And I know I was too big to get into bed with him, but I didn't care. I love my babies and I wanted to hold them. And me holding them, that was the only time they got any touch. And I don't know if you've ever been without human touch for an extended period of time, but when you do actually touch another person for the first time in a long time, it's mind blowing. So I always wanted to give my girls that. So I would climb into bed with them and I would hug them and I would tell them, "Daddy loves you and it's going to be okay." And We're going to find the longest cruise that we can find. Right now, I think there's a 180-day cruise. We're gonna get on that cruise and we're going to go. I just need you girls to get up. I need a miracle. And I would tell that to them. I would just speak faith over them that this was not the end. So when Tasha passed away, it delivered a blow to me that I wasn't ready for. But it actually sparked something inside of me. When Natasha passed away, Noelle was so upset that she had to get Ativan for 2 weeks. Now, they say, well, she's brain injured. She don't have a state of consciousness. She can't do this and she can't do that. But she knew her sister wasn't in the room, and her heart rate was racing much more than what it would normally be, because her sister wasn't there. And her doctor, her caring doctor, he's a wonderful man, Dr. Peter. He gave her Ativan until she calmed down. And it took about 2 weeks for her to really settle herself down. But that sparked a fire. So I went to her, and I would kiss them. I wouldn't kiss them in the mouth. I would give them Eskimo kisses. So I would take my nose and put it on their nose, and I would say, "Daddy loves you. Daddy loves you." And that's how I kissed them. And I put my nose on her nose, and I said, "Listen, they don't think you can do anything. They don't think that you're ever going to do anything, but you're going to die trying." Now, she was on a ventilator. Her and her sister were both on ventilators. I said, "But if you have to die, I have to bury you in a couple of weeks, it's going to be because you tried, because you're not just going to lay there." And I told them, I said, "I want her weaned off this ventilator. I don't believe that she's totally dependent on it. I believe that she can breathe." And they said, "Well, Mr. Presley, we don't recommend that because she can't stretch. She can't get up and move around. So her lungs are limited." I said, "I don't care. She's got to try. You got to try. We know what's going to happen if we don't do anything." She said, "Okay, we'll do it." So they started out with 30 seconds. Took her off the ventilator for 30 seconds. Noelle took one breath. "All right, put her back on, put her back on." So we put her back on. So every day it increased a little more, a little more, a little more, a little more, till we got her to the point where she could do 12 hours off her ventilator every day. And that opened up another door, because if she could do 12 hours off her ventilator, if I finish my training, I could take her out because she can breathe on her own. So when that happened, that encouraged me to make sure I finished all of my nursing training so that I could take them out by myself. So we did all of that, and Noelle was breathing on her own. And my wife, and forgive me, I remarried when the girls were about 10 years old. I met a wonderful woman that embraced my situation, because I spent a lot of time worrying that I was going to meet somebody wonderful. They were going to think I was wonderful, and they were going to love all this. I'm sorry. But they're going to look at my daughters and say, "I think you're great, but I just can't deal with you and your daughters, or rather your daughters and their situation. I just can't." But the woman that I married, her name is Amaret, Josh's aunt, she took to the girls with a full head of steam. She just stepped right in. "I'm their mother now. This is how we're going to do things." She put her foot down and she just ran with it. So everything that happens, there's always a silver lining in it. You just have to look for it. Everything that happens, there's a blessing in it. Natasha died. Well, we found out Noelle can breathe 12 hours on her own. And if Noelle can breathe 12 hours on her own, Noelle left the facility with her father for the first time because we lost Natasha. So it was such a momentous occasion that when I took her out, that my wife said, "Let's go get pictures taken." So we went and actually got portraits taken of the first time that we took them out, or took Noelle out. And we got family portraits together. We called up everybody. Listen, put on teal and white, and we're going to meet at the Deptford Mall and have portraits taken. And that's what we did. We took pictures that day. It wasn't easy. It was still a struggle, um, because I still believe. I still believe. I still believe that my God is a God of miracles. I believe that anything is possible. And I believe that whatever sickness my daughter had, it wasn't something that he couldn't handle, because when you read the Bible and you see the miracles that he did, if you could do that, you can handle what's going on with my daughters, even until death. Um, Jesus went to see a girl that was actually dead. And he said, Talitha kume, which means little girl, I say unto you, rise up. And I had that printed over top of my daughter's bed. So fast forward a little bit. My daughter was raised at a children's hospital, and she had to leave when she turned 21. So for 10 years, I started looking for a house for Noelle to come and spend the rest of her life with. And we were just going to do her medical care at the house. And I made a decision to keep them alive. And I made a decision to care for Noelle at home. And she needed 24-hour nursing care. So everything fell into place. I married the right woman that wasn't afraid of the situation. And make a longer story short, we actually brought Noelle home. We bought a house in Woodbury Heights that was like built to be handicap accessible. And Noelle came home, and I built a hospital at that house. She had everything that a hospital would have. I had medical grade electricity. We had cranes to get her out of bed. We had a shower for her. Everything a handicapped person would need, she had. We built it. She had a generator. She had a generator that I could have ran 3 or 4 houses with the generator that we had for her. She had everything. So I said, if we can care for Noelle inside this room with excellence, and we did it with excellence, I would love when she would go for her doctor's appointments, and the doctors would just look at her and look at her skin, and they were like, oh my God, her skin is incredible. She's receiving such good care. And we just took so much pride in that. We had a host of nurses and my wife. And I said, if we can care for her in this room, we can care for her on the cruise ship. So I booked a handicap accessible room on a cruise ship, and myself and about 11 family members, and we went on a cruise. And Noelle went to, where did she go? She went to Orlando, Cape Canaveral. She went to Bahamas and one other place. I think Key West. I don't know. She got on a cruise and she did great. And it was just wonderful because I would take her out of the room and I had all of this equipment, and people would just look, and a lot of, people stare, and the stares used to bother me, but then it became a symbol of pride because I took the initiative to care for this young lady. And this man, and I'm gonna try and make it sound the way he sounded, but we were walking on the pool deck going to the buffet, and he said, "Hey," and I'm walking by with my daughter, and he said, "Hey," I said, "You talking to me?" He said, "Yeah, good job, mate. Damn good job." He was talking about me caring for Noelle, and I was like, "Well, I'm never going to forget that." They have disembarkment specifically for handicapped people. So we had to wait for that call because we were getting off at a certain dock of the ship, and there were people to assist us. So we were waiting for the call. And Noelle was plugged up with her ventilator and everything. And they said, all right, handicap disembarkment, meet us on deck 8, something like that. So we unplugged everything. We started leaving the room, and we started to go downstairs to deck 8. and she started the DSAT.
Mm.
So DSAT is her oxygen saturation should be at 100%, but her saturation, she was breathing, but she wasn't being oxygenated. Kind of like the same thing happened to her mother, but different circumstances. And couldn't figure out what was going on. She was on a ventilator. That wasn't working. Her stat kept going down. I tried to bag her, and that wasn't working. And we got her down to the infirmary, and we laid her on the bed, and I was like, "What's going on, doc? Just what's going on?" I said, "You know, we put her back on the ventilator," and he said, "Sir, she's gone." I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "She's gone. There's no heart rate. We did an EEG. There's nothing. She's gone." I was heartbroken because I wanted so much for her. I wanted to do so much with her. But sometimes when things happen, you have to reflect. My reflection brought me to the thought that she didn't die alone in a hospital like her sister. She died on a cruise ship surrounded by family. She didn't die in her room, in her own bed, at home. She died on a cruise ship. So if somebody's story is going to end, I think her story ended well. So yeah, still, I'm not gonna say broken, because like I said, I look at my friends on Facebook and I see all of their children, and I see, them graduating from school and all of these accomplishments and giving them grandchildren, and I'll never have that. But everything works for the good of those who love the Lord, and I'm remorseful that I skipped that part, because that was one of the things that really got me through. If I can backtrack for just a second, um, when Tina, my first wife, died, I went home and I didn't know what to do. I had all of this faith that God was so mighty and he could do such wonderful things. And I'll try and just get through this. So what happened was I went back to our new apartment, and I lie in the bed and I looked at where she was. So the window she was in between the window and me. So as I lie on the bed laying sideways, I could see her silhouette through the light.
Mm.
And I spent many days just looking at her, holding the babies, and just looking at her silhouette and just be like so proud of, that's my wife. She's having my babies. I was so proud. And I went back to that same position and I laid there and she wasn't there. And I was just like, she gonna come out of that bathroom any second now. And hours went by and she didn't. But uh, I'm gonna get a little spiritual on y'all. Y'all can believe it if you believe it. If you do, you do. You don't. I'm just telling you my truth. But I lie there on my side looking out that window. I say it was an angel or a messenger came up behind me. So we had this ability to detect stuff behind us without seeing it. So like somebody can walk up behind you and you can feel them. Everybody can do it. So when I lie in the bed, something came up behind me and just got behind me. And it wasn't anything scary, but it was like peace. And this thing got behind me, and I was so young and rude and in my Christianity. I said, it's about time you got here. I've been waiting for you. You see what just happened to me? My wife died, my kids are brain injured. What you gonna do? You God, what you gonna do? In ignorance, in anger. And this entity or this being behind me just simply said, I am able, and left. And you talking about somebody that was pissed off? I said, what? You're able? What does that mean? What am I supposed to do with that? That don't make no sense. Get back here. And I did not want to hear that. I did not want to hear I'm able. I want to hear that my wife's going to come out walking out of that bathroom. Now, I don't want to hear no I'm able. What does that mean? So the next night, I'm laying in bed again. It comes back and again comes up behind me. And I had some time to reflect and a little more level headed. So he came back and he said, I'm able to heal your broken heart. I'm able to heal your children. I'm able to give you the desire to love someone again. I'm able to heal you so that this situation will be okay with you. He says, as a matter of fact, whatever you pray and say, I'm able, at the end of it, I'll do it for you. And he left. Mm. And that gave me the strength or the reassurance that God was going to be with me with whatever I decided to do. And I decided to raise my daughters. I decided to bring my daughter home. I decided to take her on a cruise. I decided to give them the best life that a person with their disabilities could possibly have. And if I didn't, you show me. I mean, if you just gave me any idea, I was doing it. Mm-hmm. And that's how we lived our lives. And that's what I did for them up until my daughter passed away. And I'm honored that when God said these two girls are going to need a father that can understand. He chose me. And I'm honored that he chose me because I did the best that I could. I did the best that I could, and I loved them as much as I could. So I don't have any regrets. And y'all don't remember, I made a promise to tell Josh what my prayer was the other day. I was working on my pool, and it was hot. It's the beginning of the heat wave. And Josh just out of nowhere brought me a glass of iced tea. Didn't ask for it. He just brought it. And I was so thankful. And I sat back and I prayed and I said, God, I would love to have a son like Josh.
Oh, man.
So that's what I wanted to tell you.
Oh, man.
So I'm thankful for you. I'm proud of you. And I'm thankful for you doing this. I'm praying that you help a lot of people with this. You keep on going. Okay? Because you making a mark on this world. When time is all spent, you're going to look back at your life. It's not going to be wasted because you're doing something. I'm proud of you.
I appreciate it. Again, I'm working on my empathy. Again, being raised by my dad, everything was so stern and you got to build a bridge and get over it. When you said that, I felt like a tear building up here, but then my body was like, we don't do that. It like absorbed it.
I did the same thing. You know, get me to cry on TV. I already done cried in front of the camera, so
the back of my eye just absorbed it right now. But Uncle Rob, I love you. I appreciate you for sharing a lot of this. I'm glad you're here. For that person that's going through something hard, challenging, whatever level of challenging it might be to them, what's a message you would give to them to be, I don't want to say it's going to be okay, but you're going to make it through, or however you want to word that?
Well, as I stated before, I'm a Christian. So my beliefs are Christian. My understanding are Christian understandings. And there's a certain scripture, and God knows I shouldn't know it as many times I said it, but it says all things work for the good of those who love the Lord. So what that means is whatever situation you're in, it doesn't matter what it is, because you have to understand something. No matter what you go through, no matter what you've lost, no matter how you've been hurt, you'll never be able to surprise God. You can't go to God and say, God, look what happened to me. I know you've never seen this before. God's gonna be like, yeah, I've seen it before. It's not nothing new to me. So your situation's not anything new. So it's not nothing that he can't handle. But in this scripture, he gives his reassurance that all things work for your good. So you can have the most devastating thing happen to you and say this simple prayer: God, you said all things would work to my good. So that means that God uses his supernatural ability to take your situation and turn it around into something that changes the world and changes your life. That's what infinite wisdom does. God has a million ways to solve your problems. You only need one. You're only asking him for one solution to your problem. He has a million ways to answer your problems and solve your problems. You just need one. And his assurance is all things work for those, all things work for the good of those who love the Lord. Now, I will say this, that scripture is specifically for Christians, those that are, um, I don't know how to say it, but it's for believers. So if you want to become a believer, go find somebody to say the salvation prayer with you and quote that scripture. And he has to work on your behalf. He has to work because God's not a liar. He can't say something and then not be true. So if you have a problem, you have a difficult situation, go to God and say, God, all things work to my good. So what good can come out of me losing my dad or losing my mom or losing my kid or this man breaking my heart or this woman leaving me? What good can come out of it? Because like I said, you can't surprise God. What good can come out of it? So don't give up. Don't ever give up. I don't care if you get beat down and you're tired and you're ready to quit. Don't ever give up because it's temporary. Tomorrow will come with a new set of circumstances and a new set of changes. Don't give up. Keep going. Keep fighting. It's worth it. You're worth it. And I think that's all I got.
Well, I love the ending message. Um, Thank you for the listeners. Thanks for the watchers. Remember, everything in life is just a decision. See you on next one.